Steelers Nation, man. The first game of the Steelers season is in the books.
Preseason,
yes, preseason. And to sum it all up, not a lot happened. Not much of anything. It was quite boring, to be honest with you. It's preseason. What do you expect?
Yeah, that's why they call it preseason.
But I was bored for the last 7 months, so if I'm going to get any bit of Steelers football, I'll take it. And we got that tonight. The Steelers lost. It was a very sloppy game from a lot of aspects, but mostly the offense and even the offensive line. We got to see some Zach Frazier at center. That was after Nate Herbig got first-team reps with Fields, which didn't pan out well because the first couple drives, it resulted in Fields muffing some snaps, which could be Fields' fault, could be Herbig's fault. It could just be a mixture of both. Keep in mind, Herbig is not a center. He's not a natural center. He has only 49 career snaps at center, so that could be a reason for the muffed snaps.
Yeah.
But once Frazier came onto the field, that wasn't much of an issue, and it seemed like Frazier was starting to actually move up the offensive line, move up the offense a little bit. In regards to Justin Fields, there's not much to say. We didn't get to see a lot of him. We only saw like 3 or 4 drives. It resulted in 67 total yards passing for, 5 completions?
Yeah, out of 6 attempts. He took 2 sacks. He fumbled the ball twice.
Yeah, those 2 sacks, by the way, allowed by our first-round pick, Troy Fautanu.
Yeah, so, not exactly the prettiest game for our first-round selection this year.
No, a rough welcome to the NFL for the right tackle, Troy Fautanu. He got exclusively right tackle reps, and not a good start. But again, it's the first preseason game. There's not much to judge. This is just a welcome.
There's no need to
the
panic.
NFL.
Don't panic. It's just
He's not a bust. Don't worry.
It's little rookie mistakes. He can learn from it. He's that type of guy. He's that type of player. I'm sure he'll work on that.
And it obviously wasn't the full starting offensive line. Sayamalu didn't play. We don't even know who the starting center is. We know who it should be, but Tomlin likes to make things harder than it seems.
Yeah.
We don't even know who the starting left tackle is. We know who it should be, but again, Mike Tomlin makes things harder than it seems. So the offensive line just still trying to gel together. Keep in mind, we had a lot of young guys on that line tonight. Fautanu is in his first year. Spencer Anderson was in his second year. James Daniels was really the only vet on that line tonight. Frazier's in his first year. Broderick Jones in his second year. So a lot of young guys still trying to learn the learning curves. But in regards to Fields, we didn't get to see a lot. He threw a nice 20-yard dot to Van Jefferson, which was a little glimpse of what they've been doing in camp.
Yeah, that was a very pretty play. But that was pretty much the only highlight from Fields, and we only saw 1 quarter from him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's it. We were hoping he'd get the entire first half, which he did not, and I question why, especially since after Fields played the first quarter, all we saw for the rest of the game was Kyle Allen for the last 3 quarters. So I'm thinking to myself, why didn't they just split the game? Why didn't Fields play the first half? Why didn't Allen play the second half? And that makes me wonder, how much time is Fields really going to get the next 2 preseason games, especially with Wilson potentially playing?
Exactly.
So why didn't Fields just get more playing time, especially since when Kyle Allen was in, we got to see more of Zach Frazier at center, more of Broderick Jones at left tackle, and more of Fautanu at right tackle. Why didn't we see more of that? Why couldn't we see more of that in the first half? That's my only complaint. That's really my only concern. But it is also the first preseason game, so they're trying to ease these guys in. But
which I can understand, you know, stuff not to really panic about. They could be experimenting a couple things. It's stuff to definitely keep an eye out for sure the next 2 preseason games.
But outside of that, yeah, the mistakes on offense are still apparent with the penalties from the offense, especially from the line, the inconsistent play from the line. And you look at the final score, man, ultimately the game could have been tied. The game could have been in extra innings. If is that even a thing in preseason anymore? I don't know. They make so many rule changes, I don't even know anymore. Probably not. But the game could have been tied because Kyle Allen almost led the Steelers to a touchdown drive earlier on into the game where they went for it on 4th and goal, and Calvin Austin was wide open on a corner route in the back of the end zone. No one around him, but Kyle Allen sailed it a little too far, and Calvin Austin couldn't get the catch and bounce. But speaking of Calvin Austin, that one scoring drive we did have where Connor Hayward finished it with a catch in the flat for a touchdown, Calvin Austin was the guy that got us up the field, man. Along with Des Fitzpatrick, he had himself a nice big chunk of yardage.
Yep.
But Calvin Austin had 2 big first downs on that drive, and he was able to get us down the field, which ultimately ended in our first touchdown of the game. So good on Calvin Austin. He's starting to show his route running, his speed, and what he can really do. He's one of those guys where he's like, hey, don't forget about me. So ultimately, he should have ended the game with 3 catches, one of them being a touchdown. So good things come from Calvin Austin. I like what I'm seeing there. Otherwise, I also like what I'm seeing from the offense. in terms of scheme and the play calling, I thought it was definitely a good change. We got to see more of players being utilized. We got to see more of the middle of the field, the intermediate area, more of the play action, under center, I form type things, a lot of the pistol.
Yeah, a lot of change. A lot of change compared to what we were, very used to for several years with the Steelers offense. A lot of wide runs and stuff like that. A lot of tight end usage right there. Some I form a lot. Like some fresh things to the offense. I like that.
Yeah. In regards to the defense, I mean, not much from the defense, as you see. I mean, the secondary was a little disappointing. Granted, again, it's mostly depth guys, but if they're depth guys, yeah, you want to have faith in said guys. Beanie Bishop was a little disappointing in my opinion. You know, I was hearing I heard he had a very solid camp so far, but all I saw from Beanie Bishop was a lot of passes caught his way, a lot of targets allowed, a lot of completions, first downs, yardage allowed towards his direction, which was disappointing. Ryan Watts saw some safety time. I liked what I saw from him. He was getting in towards the box, the line of scrimmage, making tackles. He was able to wrap up some defenders nicely. I like what I saw from that. That should open up more playing time from him. Corey Trice got to play in his first NFL game. We didn't see a lot of him, which is a little disappointing for me. But when he played, man, he was able to make a tackle for loss off of a screen, which he read immediately. So you get to see those little glimpses. And plays like that is what's going to give these guys extra opportunities and more playing time for the final week of camp next week and, of course, the 2 preseason games coming up. Otherwise, the biggest highlight for the defense, I will say, has been the edge piece or the depth area in the front 7 of the defensive line. Leal came away with a sack. Montravius Adams came away with a sack and a pass defended.
Jeremiah Moon, he came up with a sack big time. He's fighting for that 4th edge piece right there. Pretty much the whole front 7.
Yeah.
The pressure was consistent for the most part. They applied a lot of pressure. Some guys didn't really finish on the plays. They're going to have to work on that. But I do like how they're constantly pressuring the quarterback.
I do too, because, I mean, I think our depth there has been a little bit concerning in recent years, especially since we just can't get away from the injury bug. So that's good to see from those guys, them step up in opportunities like this. And, of course, probably the biggest highlight of the defense was, in my opinion, Payton Wilson. This guy was all over the field. His first play, he made a tackle for loss. He was always around the football. He made a couple little mishaps, but it's his first game, nothing to overreact about, nothing to really judge immediately. So what I noticed about him is he's flying all over there. He's flying all over the field. So stuff like that, I'll absolutely take all day in his first game, man. Those are little glimpses. Hopefully he'll get more playing time, and we'll get to see a lot more from him, man. So
his initial start was very impressive. A little shaky plays like Dan stated, but it's going to happen, it is what it is. Peyton will learn from it. The Steelers, they're going to have a spot for him. They're going to have a role for him, probably the dime back a role with his athleticism and encourageability. So it's stuff that, he's going to be prepped for. He's going to get himself prepared for. He's going to work on. I'm very confident in that.
Absolutely. And to close this out, because, again, there's not much to talk about, but to close out, I'll even give out the shout-outs to Dejun Edwards, who came away with one of our 2 touchdowns, our rushing touchdown. He had a big 24-yard gain, which allowed him to punch it into the end zone. And, of course, Jonathan Ward. What I'm noticing from Ward is he's a guy that can do everything, and he's a guy that brings some explosiveness to him. So maybe those are guys that we can get used to as the number 3 guys that are going to play more of the snaps in the next coming game. So shout out to those guys, man. Shout out to Calvin Austin for showing his speed and his big playability in the field. Scotty Miller as well. Carl Allen threw a nice dot to him. Like I said, Dez Fitzpatrick. So we got to see some more deep shots from the offense as well, so that's one of the few positives from this game.
Yeah, it is.
I'll give out is, like, we're actually starting to use more of the field, the intermediate, the fact that we can actually get some big plays going. That's a good thing. Those are some significant changes that are going to do big things for the Steelers. So otherwise, not much to say. I wish we saw more from Fields, but that's for next week potentially. We don't know if Wilson's going to play. If he does, I do then question how much does Fields play, but
that's if Wilson plays, but
because it's an active competition, so I was hoping Fields would get more playing time.
Yeah.
But again, the first preseason game, there's not much to say, not much crazy coming out of it. There's also not much to judge either. It's the first preseason game.
No, but in general, I mean, for the most part, it's pretty much a sloppy performance. I know it may be their first preseason game. They may be just trying to get things to work out,
They're trying to
get that
custom
chemistry
into,
going, get the rust off and whatnot. But overall, just a sloppy performance from all sides, even special teams. Quez Watkins wasn't exactly the best at punt return. I would not put him back there. He had some too bad reps there.
He's never going back there now.
I would not do that.
Scotty Miller, Calvin Austin's getting all those reps then. So,
No.
I mean, we'll see that in recent weeks. But the good thing is let these guys get this out of their system already. And then they can only grow. They can only bury themselves, and we'll be able to see that in the next coming weeks. So Steelers football is back, and then next week we got the Bills, so we'll see if we can get any improvement from some of the mishaps this week. So training camp in the final week should be interesting to see who gets extra opportunities, who gets what, and how these guys are going to bounce off of this performance. So it's going to be an interesting watch. It's going to be an interesting listen. So let us know how you guys feel. What was your guys' biggest view of this preseason game? What was the biggest point that you saw? What was the biggest thing that really popped out to you?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway, really.
There you go. Thank you. So let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. See you into the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!